Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bakers and Small Business Talk Space podcast, a podcast where I get to sit down with different guests, including bakers or people who are in small businesses, where we get to get an insight into their personal journey, the challenges that they might have faced in running their businesses, and the strategies that they might have employed to overcome those challenges. We get to talk about everything that has to do with baking, running small business, and if you are already running a small business, we get to inspire you to take your business to the next heights. Basically, this podcast is to inspire someone in this economy where unemployment rate is very high, who's sitting at their corner thinking there is no employment, thinking there's nothing they can do, to inspire them to start something, to inspire them to start a small business, a baking, by listening to the stories that our guests are going to share with us and by getting inspired. My name is Chiro Kangare, and I'm the brain behind Exquisite Deluxe Cake. So if you are new in this podcast, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, you guys are my star, and thank you very much. In today's episode, I'm joined by a businesswoman, a lady that inspires me, a lady that has been in the baking business for some time. I know her as BakEat. The best person to introduce BakEat to us is BakEat herself. BakEat, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. If I were to meet BakEat in the streets and I ask, who is BakEat? What would you say without going into much details in a minute or so?
So, BakEat, we make love edible, literally.
Okay.
So, we take what people feel and we put it into a cake. We add the sweetness to special events. That's how I see it. So, it's not just a cake making business, but it's about inspiring. It's about adding that touch of something special.
Okay. I want to take you back from the beginning, before we had BakEat, before we even know that one day there will be BakEat, to the days where the brain behind BakEat was a little girl. Who was that person?
So funny, it's actually funny you should ask. Growing up, the kitchen was never my favorite place.
Okay.
It's actually quite weird that I'm actually baking now. I wanted to be a lawyer, a lover of corporate. I still am, actually. But the baking thing is more like a calling for me.
Okay.
My grandmother was a baker. My mom is a baker. So it's not, by the way, I've never been to school, just by the way.
Self-taught.
Self-taught, yeah. So baking for me is natural. You know, I say to people, it's my calling, it's my ministry, you know. So when I was young, I never used to think about, will I bake or do I? Not at all. It's something that I realized at a later stage in my life that, look, I actually have a gift in baking.
But then you mentioned that before baking, you wanted to be a lawyer.
Yes.
Are you a lawyer now?
No.
Okay, tell us more. What are you doing now?
No, I'm not a lawyer. So I am a real estate agency owner. So I franchised an England Focus agency. So I do property. All things property is myself. I also do a bit of restauranting as well. I own a restaurant in Sunnyside. And the cake business as well.
So you are an employer?
Yeah, we can say so. I don't look at myself and think that, but I suppose yes, I am.
Okay, in your journey before becoming the baker, did you work for anyone? Did you do any office work?
Yes, I did. In fact, before going into baking, I used to work for the motor industry. I worked for Audi, with the McCarthy Group. I worked for Barlow World. I worked with the Maponyas as well. I worked for Kia as well for a while. So I was proper into corporate, and I thought I'd somehow work my way up and into the legal team of corporate, but no, it never really happened.
Okay. Now, here is Pam, a little girl who never liked baking, but knows about baking, had a passion in baking. And fast forward, Pam now wants to be a baker, want to start baking for people. How did that start?
So it was never really in the sequence that you're putting it in.
Okay.
What had happened is I had my firstborn in 2017. Had my firstborn. After that, I got a new job that was with the Motors Group. 2 weeks into the job, I find out I'm pregnant again.
You were busy.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. I'm pregnant again. So obviously, I just started the new job. I don't qualify for maternity leave. Well, not like to be paid on maternity leave. So I had to take 6 months off with no salary at all. And I was at home. I was sort of bored as well and broke, of course. And I actually decided to make my daughters, because what our tradition is that every month we celebrate your date of birth until you turn 1. So I obviously couldn't afford to buy a cake. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make you a cake. And that's how it started. Like every month I'd make a cake, but I'd post it on Instagram or Facebook. And I started having people asking, who made this cake for you? We want to order. And I was like, but I made it myself. Like, can I order my cake with you? And I was like, no, I've never made cake before. And my husband was like, well, you're complaining about being broke, so why don't you just give it a shot? And that's how it started.
You still remember your first cake?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how was it?
It was terrible. It was horrible. It tasted good, but it looked terrible.
And did the client pay for it?
Yeah, they did. But I was charging crazy prices. I mean, I was trying to compete with Checkers and ShopRite. So I was charging like $100 at the most. Yeah.
So your first cake, you literally made it at a loss?
Yeah, basically. Look, I was excited over the fact that this thing that I just wanted to do for myself actually captured other people and they wanted a part of it. So out of excitement, I never really thought about the pricing and all that. Hence, I think it's the corporate head in me that decided, okay, let's make it a business. But I never went into baking with the concept of, I want to make this a business. Not at all.
Now, the cakes are cakes baked by Pam. It's not BakEat yet. Pam bakes cake, posts on social media, people orders. When did it click to you that this thing is bigger than cake baked by Pam? This thing is a business. This thing needs to be formalized.
You know, it actually took a while to click on that sense because like I said to you, this thing for me is a calling, but I didn't realize at the time. So I'm always having a lot of fun and it's about passion and an end. But then my husband said to me one day, you know, you're spending so much time doing this. Why don't you leave your job and, you know, focus wholeheartedly on this and turn this into a business? And then I had to think about it and start formalizing it. Had he not said anything to me, Lord knows I'd probably still be doing it for fun and calling myself, I don't know what, you know. So I think he saw the potential behind it and sort of pushed me to formalize it and make it a business.
And then do you still remember your first wedding cake?
Yes, I do. Oh, I remember. So funny story is, so the hubby is the one who's pushing me to say, formalize, get yourself out there so people take you serious. We do it, formalize, people take me serious. The first wedding cake that comes in, my husband's like, no, now you're playing with fire, stop it.
The number one supporter is the one
the
like,
number
no.
one's like, no. This is a wedding. This is not a birthday. This is a wedding. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to do it. And funny enough, it came out beautifully. I mean, till this day, that girl is so happy.
I always have experience where every time you try something for the first time, especially in cakes, it comes out almost perfect or nice. And with little knowledge that you have when you're trying it. I remember, I think, my first 3-tier cake, I didn't even dowel that cake.
What?
The cake did not even collapse. The cake was still standing and it lasted, it was for church. And it lasted like the whole ceremony and everything. But now when I know better, disasters happens. So what is the worst thing that has ever happened in your baking journey or baking history that you wish you knew then, but once you know better, you manage to come out of that?
So I think collapsing cake is the worst thing that can happen to any baker. So obviously after the wedding cake, I became very, pompous. Like, yeah, I can do this. Somebody sends a 2-tier cake with a ball. You're like, yeah, no, I did a wedding cake. I can do it.
Confident.
And I remember I baked a cake for this lady. It was a 2-tier cake with a soccer ball. I actually posted it on my social media. And I insisted I'm going to deliver the cake for you. It was hot. I think it was November. Very, very hot. There I was, drove to Centurion, and the party's happening. Because normally what I say to my clients is, I'm the last person to finish off the decor and whatever with the cake. So the cake never comes early. It must come as the last thing. So we rock up there, party set up, everything. This child is waiting for his cake. And as I open the boot, the cake is sitting like this. And I'm already at the client's house. It's a buttercream cake, so I can't even say, let me go to the kitchen and try. Like it's like, guys, grab a fork, let's eat. There's nothing else that can be done. Till this day, that this was like 4 years ago. Till this day, when this parent orders the cake, the child is like, please don't drop my cake. Till this day. So yeah, I think that was the worst because it was my first occurrence of a cake falling, and yeah, there was nothing I could do about it. Absolutely nothing. So, yeah.
So how did you rescue yourself from that situation?
There was no rescue. I was like, guys, but you see, it is what it is.
So likely it was not a difficult customer.
Yeah, fortunately she was like, well, it's hot anyway. And then we called the son. He saw the cake in the boot. He's like, guys, the cake fell, and the party continued.
Pam, in the baking business, we come across a lot of challenges because we deal with customers. And then sometimes we find that they come up with ridiculous or difficult requests. Any challenges that you've ever faced with the customers, and how did you deal with it?
I think, people are difficult. Sometimes you actually want to deal with animals than people. But I think I've grown to understand what's possible and what's not possible. And back in the days, I'd say yes to everything. You say to me, make a cake of my daughter, I was like, yeah, we'll do it. But I think what's worked for me is being realistic myself, asking myself, but is this something that I can actually execute? And if I can't, I'm going to be honest with you. And if you're going to fight with me because I can't execute it, then maybe we shouldn't be doing business at all.
So how do you deal with these customers who will come with a picture and they tell you they want it exactly as it is, and it's a picture that they took from the internet or from Pinterest or from overseas or from another baker who does not even exist, and they want you to replicate that cake exactly as it is?
Oh no, that's simple. I just tell them, go to the baker who made the cake.
Wow, that's easy.
Because I am going to take inspiration from the cake. I'm going to try as close as possible to get to it. But end of the day, it's going to be my invention. So I don't even try to replicate.
And then what strategies have you used to grow your business?
Look, honestly speaking, there hasn't been a strategy. I'm not going to lie. I think we just go by the day, Social media has been very big behind the business. Instagram for me in particular. I mean, you're inspiring me now to go into all the other platforms, like your TikToks and YouTube. But it's really been about social media and word of mouth. In fact, I don't know if you've got time. Can I tell you about the story about the shop? So my agency, the real estate agency, the offices are in a particular office park. So I had decided, because every time I get an order, I'd need to drive home so I can do the order, which was obviously affecting work. So I decided to open a cake shop in that same office park downstairs, and that's how my shop came to life.
So when you're in the office, the shop is downstairs?
The shop is downstairs. Okay. So now I can sort of manage both places from, you know what I'm saying? So I suppose there's a strategy as well. That was one of the strategies that came into place. But unfortunately, because I hadn't planned it out or thought it out properly, it just became too much, because now I've got staff, I've got, like, literally my costs for the cake shop went from, say, 5,000 a month to 60,000 a month, something that I didn't think about, staff, operating costs, and all these other things. And unfortunately, last year in April, I had to close the shop down because it was too much. But God being God, I got the opportunity of opening the academy, which is where we teach people how to bake. So I've literally moved the shop to the academy. And somehow, somewhere, it's all just worked out so well, so beautifully.
Well, I was going to ask, when you mentioned the shop, the benefit of moving from your own kitchen to the shop and the disadvantages of being in the shop.
So for now, I wouldn't say there are any disadvantages, but the advantage is that I was a 24-hour baker. You could call me, I'm watching TV with the family, and I'll stand up right there and then I'll start doing the order or whatever the case may be. So it was very difficult to have trading hours when at home. Like, I was just always busy. And secondly, my kids were gaining crazy amounts of weight because all the offcuts, all the tasting, all this. I mean, my daughter, the last one, would sit down with a bucket of buttercream and a teaspoon, and she would just sit there and eat. Yeah, and we know what buttercream is made out of. So my kids were big. They were very big. So since the shop moved out of the house, they've obviously lost weight because they're not eating as much sugar. I've got more time with the family, and I'm able to prioritize my time as well. And when somebody calls me at 8 o'clock saying, look, I forgot to make an order, I'm like, it's too bad. I mean, I'm at home. There's no way I'm going to drive to the cake shop right now. So it's given me some sort of balance and stability, and just sort of the boundaries between work and home. And I'm able to say I've knocked off and actually mean it.
You mentioned that when you opened the shop, something that you didn't anticipate was the cost of running the shop. And then now you've got employees that you need to make sure that they've got work and they get paid every month. And you still need to manage yourself and your time with family. So now you're juggling being an employer, being Pam, who needs to provide for the employees and also for the family. How do you balance all those things?
I don't even know how to answer that. For some odd reason, it just all balanced, but it took a lot out of me. It was so stressful. I mean, when it hit the 25th of the month, I wish I could just run away, because that's when everything becomes due. Salaries become due. The landlord wants his money. Like, everybody just wants their money. So it was very, very difficult. I was actually sitting to myself thinking, I did not think this through. And it becomes so difficult to get out of it, because now you've got people who are depending on your business as their bread and butter, which is your employees, I mean? For me, it was easy to say, no, this is a mistake, I'll start again and continue baking at home, continue making my money. But not so much for the cleaner, not so much for the lady sitting in front on the front desk, not so much for my decorator who's left their job to come join me here. So it was very, very interesting times. It was very interesting times. I don't know how I got through it. By the grace of God is what I like to think. Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking, for someone like me who still bakes at home, and then with a dream of one day moving out of home to start a business, what is it that one thing you wish somebody told you before you moved out that you feel like you can share with me, that, Chiro, before you move out of home, make sure this and this are in place?
I think the biggest thing is read your lease contract. I'm sorry to say, I'm probably not even allowed to say this on this platform, but landlords are scheming for days. Those contracts are very like legal lingo that you don't really understand, and you're very excited at the time. So make sure that the emotional part of the business, you put it aside and you understand that this is a transaction, and understand the cost behind the transaction. Because I remember when I was doing the whole thing was in my head. I was like, okay, so rent is 20, this one I'm going to pay this much. I know it's fine, it's going to be okay. But you don't anticipate all the little small things that also come into operating on a daily basis. And I think that's what killed me. And I never factored the part of somebody's not going to want a cupcake every day. So how else are you going to make money if not from the cakes or the cupcakes? And it's such things that you need to factor in.
Okay. Before we close, Take me through, you said you do academy. That means you train people.
Yes.
You've got the shop. You bake the cake. Tell me about the academy. I'm more interested in the academy because I'm sure someone who's listening wants to know what do you offer in the academy and if this is for her or for him to come and attend, to come and learn something in your academy.
So with the academy, let me just take you back a bit so you can understand how it started. Baker's Bin actually approached me. You know Baker's Bin, right? Baker's Bin approached me and they said, listen, you are actually one of our biggest clients. You buy quite a lot from us. So we want you to head up the baking school upstairs in our facilities. And that's how it came about. I had no interest in teaching people or like none at all. So when the opportunity came up and I obviously had the issue of having to close the shop, I was like, wow, look at God, you know? So in my mind, I think what works for me in terms of academy, it's the one-on-one sessions. So I would like to sit with my potential baker and we sit down and literally map out what is it that you want to do, because I'm sure you'd know the journey is not the same for all of us. There's some people who are good at baking, but they can't do the decor. Yeah. So now why go through a whole process of teaching you how to of how to bake when you can bake, you just want to decorate. There's some people who know how to decorate but can't bake. In fact, I employed a lady, out of excitement, I employed a lady. She was amazing decorator. I mean, her figurines looked real, but she couldn't bake anything. Like even pre-mix, she can't bake to save her life, you know? So you get such things. So with the academy, what we're trying to do is we want to personalize the experience so that you're not just learning from us, but we're also learning from you as well. And hopefully we can grow together in the business sense and in the baking sense. So we won't just teach you how to bake, but we'll teach you the business side of the baking as well, if it's something that you want to turn into a business, of course.
You mentioned something very important that I have to follow up on. That in the baking only, there's so many opportunities. And people feel like I need to bake the cake and do everything myself. So there are a lot of opportunities that you don't necessarily need to be a baker to be in the baking industry, like for personalized cake. For instance, you mentioned figurines. You mentioned the lady who do figurines doesn't know how to bake at all, but she can do amazing figurine. And those are the figurines that brings the cake to life. And I always tell people, even on my life that I also conduct, that you don't necessarily need to do what other people are doing. Because if you look at it these days, each and every household in 5 years to come is going to have a baker. At the rate everyone wants to learn to bake or to start baking business. But not everyone can run a baking business. Meaning, when you will start as a one-man business. And then you have to do marketing, you have to do admin, you have to do the cake yourself, you have to do the figurines yourself, like a whole lot of things in there. What are other opportunities that you feel like someone who doesn't really know what they want to do, but they are interested in the baking industry that they can venture into? Because there is a lot in the baking, but people are only interested on the baking and executing and finalizing the cake. Yes.
So like with myself, for example, I'm not interested in figurines and the sugar stuff. I'm more of your palette person. So if I could redo this whole thing, I would specialize in the fillings, the sponge, I'd really work on the taste of cakes. And then I'd crumb coat the cake and then send it to the next person so they can decorate and do whatever they want to do. So you are right. There's a lot of opportunity within the cake industry. And I think with most new guys coming into the industry, they're not making it because they don't know where they specialize in. They're trying to be a jack of all trade, which doesn't always work well, because I mean you'll find that you're weak in admin, and if your admin is bad, it's going to affect your business. If your attention to detail, for example, is bad, it's it's going to affect your business, which is why we see all these weird and wonderful things out there. I'm not saying anything about anyone, but
what I ordered versus what I got, yeah.
Yes. It's all those things that come together to make it work. And I suppose I'm one of the lucky ones that it doesn't show that I'm not really interested in the decor. But my thing, it's the taste. I mean, the cake can look terrible, but if it tastes terrible, then what was the point?
So, Pam, I just want us to touch on the social media, because I feel like social media can make your business or can break your business. I just want to understand from you the impact of social media in your business. What is your experience and what can you share on that?
So, like I said to you earlier, social media literally made my business. I mean, we went from, yes, I've been stuck there for the past 2 years, and that's my fault, to 13,000 followers in like literally 6 or 7 months. So I feel like social media made my business. It's just social media is something, and I'm only learning this now. I've taken it for granted. I thought, you just post the cake and people just start following you. But there's actually an art to it. I'm actually investing in a small course to understand how should you post, how should you label the different posts that you're posting as well, so that it can generate more business. So social media is definitely the new newspaper from the ages we grew up in. You know, it's the new telemarketing, for example. Sure, if social media was to close tomorrow, then my cake shop is also closing, in short.
I mean, you mentioned something very interesting, that there's now courses that are being offered. I didn't even know about the courses, eh?
There is online courses,
Okay.
literally telling us how we should be taking better pictures, for example. You remember, I used to take pictures with the background of my dirty kitchen, with the background of my, tomorrow I take it outside in the garden. Like, there was no consistency. You know, I mean, we learned that with time, that no, you need to have the same background. You need to do this, you need to do that. I mean, actually reminding me, I was at Baker's Bin this other day, a while ago, and so I'm like behind this baker, and we're speaking, and I say to her, show me your work, because you're a baker. Does she not show me my cakes and say it's her cakes? And I'm like, this is yours? Like, yeah, this is me. And it just goes back to,
So she stole your work.
I don't want to say she stole, but I don't watermark my you know, and it's part of the stuff that are very important, because I mean, she was there, and she was an old lady, so I was like, I'm not even going to say to her this.
So she doesn't even know it's your cakes.
She doesn't know. No, she doesn't know me. And I'm like, no, you do really good stuff. Hey, you good.
You didn't tell her?
No, that would have been awkward.
Okay, I have a similar story. I do get people who take my work and claim it as theirs, but that is something else. I was home December time, Limpopo, walking in the street of Thohoyandou. I see a branded car. The cakes which were there were my cakes. I took the number, then I called that lady to say I want to order a cake. And then we've gone through all the process of ordering a cake, and I wanted to find out that I'm talking to the right person, the owner of the business, because I just saw a car passing by, branded with cake. And no, yes, it's my car. My husband is there. What? I said, but the cakes that are on the car are my cakes. And then she paused. Then she's like, it's somebody who was doing branding. They just took cakes from social media and they've used them. Oh, please do not do whatever. I'm even prepared to pay. What. I'm like, no, it's fine. I just wanted to let you know what you are using my cakes. Yes. But I just want to go and play a little game with you in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Before we do that, I just want to ask you simple questions.
Sure.
Yes. What is your favorite baking tool?
Scraper.
And why?
Because it smooths out. It's so satisfying when you're scraping that cake and it comes out with the edges and all.
You like butter icing cake, so
yes,
scraper should be your favorite. Yeah. Should be your favorite one. And then, what is the weirdest ingredient that you've ever used?
Lavender. Lavender was very strange for me, because we bath in lavender, and yeah, that was just weird. That's the weirdest. Yeah.
And then you have to use it in baking.
In baking, yeah. The client wanted the sponge to have like a lavender taste and smell. So it was like, I felt like, but this is poison, like, but it's not. You can actually yeah, that was weird for me.
And then if you've ever had a weird request of a cake that you felt like, this is too much, this is something that I cannot do, or this is something I never thought of, what was that cake?
It's the bachelorette party cakes. The bachelorette party cakes. I've got kids, you know, and my kids are like, Mom, what's this? Yeah, the bachelorette. Like, I think they're weird because of of home. You know, my kids are always there, and we sit together and bake together and prepare the stuff together, and they want to understand. But this looks like,
something that they know.
Yeah.
And that is not supposed to be in the food.
Yeah.
But you do them though.
Yes, we do.
I had a problem with that. I had a story with one of my guests in one of the episodes. She also mentioned that those cakes are too much. They're too much exotic for whatever. I remember at some point as I was sitting, I thought of venturing into exotic cake. But my problem was, as a mother, that's number one. Number two, where will I post this cake? If I'm posting them on Sunday morning, then I have to go to church.
So I'm not even worried about that. Like my worry is it's the kids. Like, where would I do it? So yeah, I think But now that I've got a shop, now we can definitely do it.
So if there is one ingredient that you can use for the rest of your life, every time when you're baking, that ingredient you feel like this one I can use it anytime, what will that be?
I think it's the reason why we're into baking. Sugar. Sugar is very versatile. I can make caramel. I can make sweets. Sugar. You can eat it without doing anything to it, really. So sugar would definitely be my go-to.
And you can also make nice figurines with sugar.
You understand? So sugar.
Stay tuned as we head to the kitchen. We're going to taste something in the kitchen with Pam. We will be back. Okay, Pam, welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you.
You know when we're in the kitchen, we wear aprons, ne?
Absolutely.
This is where I just want to test your skills in the kitchen by playing a little game with you.
Okay.
Just to see how well you know your kitchen or how well you understand your baking, the things that you're baking.
I'm ready.
Okay, Pam, I brought you to my little space, which is the kitchen, the happy place for a baker.
Absolutely.
Yes, I just want to test your kitchen skills or your kitchen senses to see if you really belong in the kitchen or not. So here I've got essence, which we use on a daily basis as bakers. And then here I've got beautiful cupcakes, which you brought us from BakEatSA. So I just want to know if you know your own baking.
Okay.
On this one. Okay. So this is how the game is going to play. I'm not going to blindfold you because I don't want to ruin your makeup. But you're going to be a pastor's child. Be honest.
Okay, I'll close my eyes.
Close your eyes. And then as I give you something to smell, you tell me which essence it is and I'll tell you if you are right or wrong.
You see why I didn't marry in the church? I'd always be reminded who I am.
Okay.
You've known for 2 minutes and already.
So can we start?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Don't close your eyes. I don't want you to cheat. You're going to tell me which essence is this one.
Okay.
What do you smell?
What is that? Is it coffee?
No, wrong. I'm going to the second one. It's vanilla.
Oh, it's the raw vanilla. It's not the.
It's the raw vanilla.
Yeah, it's the raw one. That's
the real one. Yeah. Then we're gonna go to the second one.
I never used that, just by the way. That's why.
It's the best. You should try it.
That's coffee.
Mocha chocolate.
What?
Yes, that's mocha chocolate. Don't open your eyes. Next one.
This game is boring. Let's play another one. Lemon?
Try again.
Lemon?
No. Try again.
Let me smell again. Caramel.
Caramel. Finally. I was also surprised when you couldn't get that one.
Yeah, that's lemon.
Lemon. Great. The last one.
Oh, I love that. Passion fruit?
Correct. So that's not bad. You do belong in the kitchen. So I'm gonna, with your eyes closed, I'm gonna give you these 2 muffins. You're just gonna taste and tell me which flavor it is.
Okay.
I just want to see if you know your flavors.
Okay. Please, small. I'm watching my weight.
Watching your weight? Okay. You are watching your weight?
I'm joking.
Okay. Small.
Please.
Okay. You? Which one is that?
I don't know. I have no idea. You put icing in it.
I tried not to scoop the icing. Okay, let's try again.
I think it's blueberry because the sponge doesn't taste like anything, so it must be vanilla. Blueberry?
Yeah, it is blueberry. Got that one right. Okay. I just want to see the next one. Next. Yeah.
Red velvet. Definitely.
Gave you blueberry again. You can open your eyes.
What? You're
I
lying.
gave you blueberry twice. Seriously. I gave you blueberry twice.
You're terrible. You're horrible.
So, Pam, when you're in the kitchen, if I were to ask you your earliest memory when you're in the kitchen, what would that be?
I think my mom baking scones. She used to bake scones for the church, for weddings, and so there were many evenings where we'd sit and smell scones. Like we'd all be smelling scones, in fact.
In the kitchen. And then if there's anything that still stands out today that you have ever created in the kitchen, what will that be? Your favorite. Can be a dish or something.
Problem is, I'm a foodie, so we create a lot. My favorite? Ooh, that's a difficult one. But I suppose cake. I think like actually doing a whole cake and doing it properly was a real achievement for me, and it wasn't sagging. It wasn't like it actually looked like a professional cake because I used to watch Cake Boss a lot. So when I eventually did a Cake Boss cake, it was like, well done, girl.
And then repeat yourself. Okay. And then what is any project in the pipeline for BakEat?
Look, I do want to get back into the retail space, but I want to do things differently. So what I'd like to do is to do pop-up shops. So when you walk in the middle of a mall, you'll find either a coffee container. I want to do that with the cakes.
Wow, that is.
And maybe incorporate some coffee as well
into it.
So I'm looking at Mainland, Woodlands, the Groove Mall as well. Hopefully Centurion Mall as well.
So Pam, if there is that one thing that you can advise someone in your journey that you have experience of being an entrepreneur, of being a baker, what would that advice be?
I think from experience, I definitely wouldn't embark on a lot of projects at once, especially in terms of opening a business. I think it's important to focus yourself. Open the first business, get familiar with it, operate it, let it run by itself before venturing into another journey.
Okay, Pam, we can go back to the lounge, sit and finish our conversation there.
Okay. So quick, I was enjoying it.
Oh, I know, kitchen is our best space. We love it.
Thank you.
Welcome back again from the kitchen, where I got to experience Pam in the kitchen, where I think you spend most of your time in. Now, if my followers would like to follow you, on which social media platform and which handles should they search for you?
Oh, please, her followers, please follow me.
Yeah, my
You're
followers.
You are like 30K now, right?
On Instagram. Actually, I'm not sure how many I have.
And to think, when I met you, you had 4,000 followers.
Possible, yeah.
When I met you, and I was like, but you're making such beautiful cakes.
And you had about 5,000 to 6,000, yeah?
Yeah. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Not my favorite, but we're on Facebook. Our handle is BakEat_SA. Yes. I don't follow myself, guys, so I don't know it. But yeah, I think it's BakEat_SA.
And then if they want to order from the shop, where is the shop?
So we're in Garsfontein, 566 Serene Street. But guys, please don't come to the shop because it's more of a warehouse than a shop. So literally it's for collections and for people that come for classes. There's nothing to see. We never have anything, to buy that's ready, because of the location and all that. But we're in Garsfontein and we do deliveries and collections.
Pam, thank you very much.
It's been good.
For sharing your journey with me, giving me an insight into your story, how you got here, where you are now. And I pray and hope to see you in the next 3-5 years when BakEat is big, when BakEat is a franchise, when BakEat is doing better than what it's doing now, when the social media have grown from where it is now, because now you're going to post a lot. You promised me you're going to post a lot. Yeah, yes. And then please stay tuned for our next episode where we get to meet our next guest. We unpack, we inspire, we learn from them. And then if you like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and follow. Until we meet again, thank you.